guest today. Thank you, Nena. We have a very special guest today, a dear friend. I'm going to switch back so I can actually see him. There he is. This
Hey,
is my friend Keli, who is beaming in from England right now. Um,
hi.
Kaylee and I we just officially met in person at my wedding. Um, we had never actually met in real life before, but like many people have experienced forming a new friendship during the pandemic kind of time. We connected in 2020, and somehow we've got the the karma to always be kind of somewhere else but from each other, but hopefully that's going to be changing in the near future.
Hmm.
But I'm so grateful that Kaylee is joining us today, and really excited as well that he's going to share some of his songs with you all. That's really one of the main reasons I wanted him to come. So yeah, let us get started. um, Let me also open the chat. So of course, Nena is going to be recording this. I think if someone maybe has their volume up a little bit loud, I'm hearing an echo of my voice. I could just check here. I'm just getting some waves here from, hi. Okay, so before we get into hearing, oh, it might, Kaylee, it might be you, might be your sound if it's turned up full. So it's July, it's the middle of July. The year is racing by, as it tends to do, but maybe even more so now. I feel like with everything that happened in the past 2 years, somehow when we sort of pressed on again to what we might think of as normal life, even though is it really normal? I don't know. It seems to have almost just sped up more and more. So I find that these moments really are precious, even though it's just an hour, just over an hour, but it's an opportunity to make time to stop, to sit with each other for Sanga. Sanga is like a golden experience that is timeless, that seems almost disconnected from this raging current of everything else that's going on. That's at least my experience. So I hope that you feel that too when we come and sit together. Even though we're just looking at little screens, little windows, we know these faces. These are familiar faces, and we've come to know and love each other in this Sangha group, especially those whose faces we can see, hint, hint, if you feel like turning on your camera. So let's begin with a little invocation prayer that we always do. And then we're going to get into some conversation and some music with Kaylee. And I brought my bowls out today, not all of them, but some of the smaller ones for our invocation. So let's close our eyes and try to sit with a straight spine if possible. Almost immediately, you start to feel naturally to breathe more slowly. And as the breathing slows down, the heartbeat slows down, the thoughts and the mind also slow down. Hopefully, not always. Try to breathe, expanding the rib cage on the inhale, letting the ribs almost open like an accordion. See them expanding, filling the chest, keeping the shoulders relaxed. And on the exhale, the navel draws inwards towards the spine. Inhaling, filling the chest. And exhale, navel draws in and a little bit up. Just notice for one moment as the breath moves through your nostrils, breathing through the nose. As it enters the nose, it is going to be slightly cool. You'll feel this coolness. And as it exits the nostrils, it will be a little bit warm, as it's warmed by the natural temperature within the body. Just try to notice that now as you breathe. Cooler on the inhale and warmer on the exhale. Everyone should be able to feel this, even though we are in different countries, different climates, different time zones. Cool on the inhale, warm on the exhale. Now let's take a deep breath in. And we'll recite Om together. Om. Two more times. Om. Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopikanta Kakanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Wonderful. Sometimes when I would be leading kirtan, I would sometimes feel doubtful. Should I recite like a long invocation, Mangala Charan? Because I would always think, oh, are people going to get bored? Um, and sometimes that was the reason why I didn't do it. I was just more thinking about what will people think? What will people feel? Is it too boring, too long? But then sometimes I would take a sort of leap of, I guess, a step outside my comfort zone to think that maybe I would be boring to people. Maybe they would think that this is not exciting. But just recite it and recite it, even a long version, because there are, as I've spoken before, there are different parts to the Mangalacharan that can be, there are some parts that are, at least in a certain lineage, considered to be essential. And then there are some things that are optional and more personal to who's reciting. So, you know, you can mix and match a little bit, especially in later aspects of it. But I found that when you really recite it as a meditation, and especially try to go into understanding what's the meaning and who are the names of these personalities that are being called, that it really infuses the atmosphere quite profoundly, and definitely always brought me a lot of relief to know that, well, whatever I say or do after this, even if I make a big mess of anything, it's okay because I did that first. And that is, it's like taking a potent, you know, like if you had an amazing fresh juice full of nutrients and vitamins and you drank that first, then maybe later in the day, if you had some, you know, something not so healthy, it wouldn't be terrible. So Gopi was asking if I search for ISKCON Mangalacharan, will I get the lyrics? Yes, but there are, yeah, there are, that is pretty standard what I sang, that is recited within ISKCON, but like I said, there are variations. I think I have posted the lyrics before, but I can post them again for you in the group. And I'm sorry, I was just realizing as I was chanting that being my not very regimented musical self, I sometimes sing it in different tunes, like every time we meet, which is not very helpful for joining in. So you can let me know if you feel like, oh, it would be easier if we sang it the same tune every time and then we can join in. We can do it like that too. All right, so I wanted to say a bit more about Keli before I wanted to hand over to him and to share some wondrous things with us. But Keli and I met, like I said, during the pandemic back in 2020. We had seen each other around before. He was a monk at the time, dressed in saffron, and he had come from Wales, which, for those of you that don't know, is a far off mystical place in the United Kingdom. It's actually where my dad was born, so technically I'm half Welsh, you could say. But Keli was living there in a wonderful temple center in Cardiff. Is that right? Cardiff. And so we'd never really spoken face to face, but he had recently left the ashram and was already a musician before he joined the temple. Maybe you'll share a bit more about that with us. But he had started posting little songs and clips of, you know, things he was working on. And it was just catching a lot of people's attention because he was clearly really, really talented and a deep soul and gifted artistically. So I can't even remember how it was that we ended up on the phone. I think I wanted him to come down to London and record on something, which never ended up happening. But yeah, we got connected then, and I'm really grateful because not only to me, but I think to a large chunk of the Bhakti community around the world in the last couple of years that he's been releasing stuff online, he's really infused a very fresh inspiration for a lot of people. He's kind of like in a new wave of devotional artists that are inspired, that are original and authentic in what they're sharing. And that's been really, really inspiring for me to witness and also just learn from myself. So Kaylee, I wanted to, turn it over to you to say whatever you want to say, but in the course of that, I think at some point you're going to share a first song with us, but you can start however you like.
Thank you so much. Well, I just want to thank you for your kind words and for the opportunity to be here with your Sanga. And yeah, it's a real pleasure, a joy, a privilege, an honor. And myself and Janavi spoke very briefly last night. And one thing that we shared was how, uh, I moved from the ashram in Wales to London a year ago. And I've got this terrible habit of putting people on a pedestal. And, I feel for me, it's very easy to develop awe and reverence for people. And something very strange is happening at the moment where these people that I still hold in high esteem, but they were so far above me, and now my friends. And it's such a strange phenomenon, but somehow or another, Janavi Harrison has become a friend, and it's such a blessing. And I really hope to walk away from this Zoom with some more friends. There are maybe 30 odd people here, so yeah, I really hope that there's an opportunity to get to know some of you more personally in the future and to connect with you in that way. But yeah, I think just about everything Janavi shared so far is true. And perhaps, one word that you shared was inspiration. And inspiration's always been a very important word for me. But I only recently worked out what it means, the true meaning of inspiration, and I'm not sure if anyone else here would know, but if you look at the etymology, it actually comes from the Latin inspiro, which means to be filled with the breath of God. And I always thought that was a wonderful way to think of inspiration, and how whether you're a creative, whether you're a healer, whether you're a teacher, whatever service you have in the world, I realized if you really want longevity in what you're doing and what you're offering, then you need to at some point realize that that's coming through you and not from you. And I think that's part of the reason I've had such a prolific and in some ways successful year or two, is because I've tried to really link myself with that word inspiration, and try and make myself a suitable conduit for divinity to somehow manifest through me in something valuable, rather than being proud enough to think anything good is coming from me. So just as a disclaimer, anything that I say or share on this Zoom that might be of value is definitely coming through me. I just want to make that clear. But yeah, it's such a joy to be here, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
Haley,
So
can I interrupt you for a minute and ask
of
you about
course,
something that you shared? Because
please.
when you first, during the lockdown, started sharing lots of little videos, to my knowledge, you had moved out of the temple and back home with your family. And as you described it, you were in this little room most of the day with the piano. You learned to play the piano like in 3 months, right? Which was astonishing to me. But I'm just curious about, during that time you composed and wrote a huge number of songs.
Yeah.
Um, did you have confidence at that time, or what was your experience that this is coming to me from a divine source, or was it sort of just like, I've got to do something to keep my mind occupied
It
this
was honestly
time?
it was honestly a cocktail of the two. Um, because yeah, I wrote. There was a very particular prolific period, these 7 months, where I wrote about 70 songs. So I was writing 10 songs a month, and also other things. I was writing poetry, and I had I was teaching online, and I was doing different podcasts and so many things. But um, yeah, some of the I feel like, as we were saying before this Zoom, human beings are complex. we're complex beings, and um, I feel like especially those that are spiritually inclined, we can give ourselves a hard time when we're not doing something that's directly spiritual. And for me, it got to a point where I felt like sometimes I just need to feel human rather than try and strive for some, some seemingly unattainable, position of realization or enlightenment. So some of the songs were just me venting an emotion. Some of them were me trying to convey an idea that was awkward to express with mere words. Some of it was just for fun and just to experiment. Maybe I'd learn a new word, and in order to learn it, I'd put it in a song. But some of them I felt like were genuinely inspired, and those ones were also the ones I felt like I had the least to do with. I would wake up in the morning, and it would just be there, and I would sit at the piano, and it would just come out. That it's that kind of feeling that's like, okay, this isn't my doing, but somehow I am. I often think of ideas like entities, like they're little beings that are flying around like idea fairies. I often think, is it the case that only one person can have a certain idea? Like, you know, could only Steve Jobs think of the iPhone, or was the idea of an iPhone like one of these entities? And if it wasn't Steve Jobs, would it have flown about and ended up in someone else's mind? And so you really see that. I feel like ideas aren't they're not constrained to necessarily one person, but somehow people become chosen by ideas, or we can become chosen by inspiration, and we often find ourselves in a difficult situation where we feel proud of the thing we've done, rather than kind of living in the knowledge that actually, no, I'm just trying to be a via medium for something higher than myself here. So it was a kind of mix. I hope
Thank
that
you.
makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you for sharing. It's very relatable. I'm sure many people here could relate, whether it's composing songs or anything else we might do, because the act of creation is present in so many aspects of life. Um, yeah, I love hearing that. And I
Mm.
love the fact that you had to have so many other ideas that which might not have felt that inspired, or might not have felt so, you know, finessed. And then there's those ones that come along because it's the all too easy trap of hearing someone speak about inspiration and then wanting to sit down with an instrument and have it come like that. Just want to write a great song. But it
Yeah.
often involves a lot of work externally, whether it be learning technical skills or really expending a lot of energy, as well as internal work and getting through the many internal hurdles that present themselves in that process.
Yeah, 100%. I think anything that manifests in physical form had a subtle career at some point within us. And I think it's just about learning how to tune into those frequencies somehow. And that can be different for everyone. But I really don't feel like creativity or you know enlightenment or whatever it is. These aren't kind of exclusive things. I feel like everyone has the potential to express something. It's just
Yeah.
like you were saying, whether or not you've put the time into creating a vehicle for that to manifest through, whether it's something technical or something, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
making ourselves a suitable vessel to
yeah.
express what it is that's being given. Like last night I had to do I was had an idea to do something for a graphic for something that I'm going to share about later. And a friend that I wanted to work on it, she wasn't available, and I thought, oh, I'll do it myself. But when I sat down with my iPad to draw something on it, I just felt so frustrated because I actually haven't picked it up for months. And I thought, well, I can't just expect to sit down and what's in my head just comes out. I haven't invested the time with it to get the technical proficiency, um, which means it's, yeah, it's maybe not flowing, but that can come when, and I think that's one of the things that inspired me most about observing you, that you were putting such an effort, and yet also there was clearly inspired activity happening too. um, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I kind of interrupted your flow.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, it's kind of like when two rivers meet, you know, there's like, they both have their own flow, but then, you know, maybe at first it's like the flow gets disturbed, but then somehow they find their way to the sea. So
True, true.
I think we're doing well.
I want to make sure that you start to share one of your songs, because the hour just passes so quickly. We're already
Yeah.
an hour in, so maybe you could introduce the first song that you were going to share.
Yeah. So, yeah, Janavi asked me to share something musical, and
Maybe I could
I,
actually just say something quickly, just to sort of frame these songs for anyone that's not um, as familiar with, the tradition of songs in the English language, or songs in the mother tongue, within the Bhakti tradition, because um, it is something that is really important to express. We do it in prayer, in spoken prayer, we express in our own words, but sometimes there can be an idea, especially from those who are adopting a tradition that comes, that the language comes from another place or another culture. So we have the language of mantra, which is Sanskrit, and we also have songs that are written by great saints. And in the Bhakti tradition, at least the tradition that is connected with the Srimad Bhagavatam, with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a lot of the saints of that tradition are from Bengal, or they might be from South India. So the languages are not English. And so sometimes we can fall into thinking that only if something is expressed in these languages is it spiritual, or is it worthy of, contemplation. But I think there's a really beautiful thing that's, it was already happening in many ways, but it's sort of went a little down for a bit, and it's becoming a bit revived again, at least within the Bhakti Sanga, which is people writing in their own words. And so that's something I really wanted to especially showcase about Keli. So sorry, I just wanted to frame it a little bit.
no, I'm really grateful. Yeah, I obviously, when I was living as a monk in the temple, I studied a lot of scripture and a lot of Sanskrit texts, and you know, obviously there's also translations for these things. But for me, I discovered some literature and some art and some music that were articulating the same things that were in these Sanskrit texts, but in more not relevant, but just
Modern day English.
exactly, yeah, just, you know, yeah, something more relatable, not relevant,
Mm.
relatable. Um, and so I felt like maybe there was an opportunity there also to convey these thoughts that are there in these ancient Bhakti texts, but in a relatable way and in a language that that you can immediately connect with, and get the same idea, or even experience the same feeling.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, so this song is it's called Skies, and it's based on a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, which is verse 38 of chapter 6. And so maybe we can speak a little bit about this after the song, but the basic question that's being proposed in the Bhagavad Gita by Arjuna is, what happens to the person that takes to spiritual life and then doesn't quite make it all the way? It's said that there's two types of happy people in the world. There is the completely enlightened soul who is self-satisfied and has no need for anything outside of himself or herself for their pleasure. They are completely happy. Then the other type of happy person is the all and all out hedonist, who is just a complete materialist and has no cares, just there to enjoy the senses and experience pleasure purely from the body and the external things. I'm 100% sure the 32 of us are somewhere in between those, somewhere on that spectrum in between there. We're not completely enlightened and we're not complete hedonists. We're in this purgatory of sometimes feeling spiritual, sometimes feeling material, and always feeling confused. So what happens to such a person? The example is given in the Bhagavad Gita that this person can feel like a cloud lost in a big blue sky, just not quite here, not quite there. So this song is a prayer to Krishna, to God, that hey, I feel like one of these lost clouds in the sky, and I want you to kind of show me the way back home. So, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm wondering what counts as a lost cloud, because they all seem to float. Maybe they've drifted away from all the others.
Yeah. I guess it's just the feeling, perhaps.
Yeah, feeling.
Can you hear me okay? So yeah, this is a song called Skies, and hopefully you can understand it through the lyrics. I was secure, I felt you near me, but then I strayed and you were lost. Now I'm unsure if you can hear me. My words are mist, now turn to frost. Clouds disappear under the sun of your smile. Somehow I knew you wouldn't forget me. I've been between two worlds for a little while. Now it's clear, know where I be. I'm a spirit lost in your skies. Lead me home with your sunrise. I'm a spirit lost in your skies. Lead me home with your sunrise. I was secure, I had no chance of falling. You gave me signs that I ignored, and I was morose, I couldn't hear you calling. I paid a price no one should afford. Clouds appear under the sun of your smile. Somehow I knew you wouldn't forget me. And I've been between two worlds for just a little while, and now it's clear, I know where I should be. I'm a spirit lost in your skies. Lead me home with your sunrise. I'm a spirit lost in the skies. Lead me home with your sunrise. Won't you lead me? Won't you lead me home? You gotta lead me home. Won't you lead me? Won't you lead me home? You gotta lead me home. Thank you so much. I can't hear you, Janavi. Oh, someone has to unmute
Yeah,
you.
sorry.
Oh, there we
We set
go.
we set it so the participants cannot unmute just because sometimes it makes an audio disturbance. That
Okay,
was fantastic. Thank you so much, Kaylee. I've heard
thank
that
you.
song before, but it's amazing how the experience of listening is so different when you just listen. Like, I think you might have sent it to me as a voice note or something, but when you sit with someone and they're performing something live and you're listening to every word, it is ingested, it's taken in a very different way. That was so
Mm.
beautiful, and I really relate to the feeling of the song. That could be the theme tune of my life.
Well, it kind of became the theme tune of my life too, and I feel like that's kind of why I hope it resonates with a few other people as well, because it can feel very lonely to be that in between person, and especially when I left the ashram and kind of graduated from my monk days, I felt like, okay, well, I'm not a monk, but I'm also not gonna go out there and become a banker or something. So it's like, where am I now? So yeah.
A familiar feeling to
Mm.
to many. Yeah, it's difficult to find our way in life. There are so many, there's like endless choices to make, even within the limited range of choices. As life goes on, we've chosen a certain direction, certain groove to fall into. There'll still be choices that come within that, and
Mm.
a nagging question. I mean, some people are blessed with confidence, self-confidence, that I choose the right thing always. I've never experienced that. I'm always thinking, did I choose the right thing? Is this the right path to have taken? So it's beautiful to have a song that encapsulates that, because it's the magic of song, isn't it? Like, I was just listening last night. There was a neighbor was playing music loudly from their house, and there was some emotion being expressed deeply. I couldn't really hear the lyrics that much, but I was thinking how songs are just so powerful. That just a short little piece that brings us into a, a state of a certain feeling or an idea or an emotion. And when we experience that with other people, we can all join in that unified experience together and feel a sense of connectedness, and also of being seen in that, what we may be feeling inside.
Yeah, and I almost feel like uh, the term song can be redefined, or it should be redefined in some way, because not unfortunately, but primarily song has become merely for entertainment.
Mm,
And I feel like it, as you're saying, it's so much more than that. It can uplift people. It can bring people together. It can express things that you can't express in any other way.
yeah.
Um,
Medicine,
yeah, it can heal. It can
healing.
heal, and it's not
Yeah.
just. So yeah, before my monk days, I was a jazz musician. I was a drummer, and the music I played, I just inspired people to drink and be merry, um, which is wonderful. But it's just a distraction from the real work of life. So that's why I chose to use music to uplift instead of degrade, and I feel like there's hopefully a renaissance of other people out there trying to do something similar with their art.
Mm,
So
here, here. Literally.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Well, I'm so grateful that you're doing what you're doing, because I think it gives courage to others who may be wondering, should I also add my voice to the mix? But one of the things that Kaylee does and has been doing for some years now also is teaching people online, primarily teaching, giving lessons in various instruments, and even more as you add new instruments to your um, your weaponry, but also teaching songwriting and
Mm.
helping people. A very dear friend of mine was taking some lessons with Keli, and she would say to me, "Oh, it's so amazing. I look forward to the each session so much because it's helping me to just unlock something that's inside, but I don't know how to express it." And it's a beautiful thing when you, because there are many people that teach songwriting, but someone who's coming from such a deeply spiritually rooted place can understand and sort of coax or help to birth um, sentiments that are rooted in spiritual ideas and experiences from a person. So
Mm.
it's a powerful service that you're doing, creative
Yeah.
midwifery.
You know, it's funny. It's funny you say it like that. Actually, I'm sure at least the majority of people, if not everyone on here, has had that experience of, um, whatever kind of art we do, it really is like birthing a child. And just like it's, if you're a mother or a father, it's difficult to let your children go out into the world. It can be the same with our art. We really want to hang on to it. But yeah, it can feel like a intense labor sometimes.
Mm.
And when we let our art go out there, sometimes it associates with the wrong people. It picks up bad habits. It makes its way into strange places.
True, true.
Sometimes you don't want anything to do with it. You're like, no, I don't like that. Um, but but yeah, really, for me, songwriting in particular, but I feel like all art and spiritual life, it's very easy for us um, to get into the assumption that it's just a formula. Like spiritual life is just this formula. I wake up, I do this meditation, I wear these yogi pants, I drink this smoothie, and it's, if I do that every day, at some point I'll be enlightened. Or like,
Yeah.
songwriting, it's like you need this section, you need this catchy melody, you need this word. It's a formula.
Mhm.
But trying to break out of that actually, and express something with real sentiment, I feel like that's the real service. And you're
Mm.
you're doing that with your music, you're doing that with your sangas,
Mm.
so many projects that you're doing. And I really hope that that there's a lineage of these people who are seeking the essence and the substance of things, and not just getting caught on the formula and the external, and the, do you know what I mean?
Definitely,
Mm.
definitely. Yeah, art has that power. I always quote this. It was quoted to me, it was spoken to me by Satchidananda Swami, but it may come from another author or writer, but that art bypasses has the power to bypass the intellect and go straight to the
Mm.
heart. So the artist, or the artistic creations have the power to convey the most profound messages without seeming like you're getting clunked on the head with a philosophy or an ideology in a way that could be off-putting, but really to speak to the essence of what we're all deeply questioning or wondering or trying to get to the bottom of.
Yeah, it's not to lay any pressure on, but it's actually a big responsibility when you think about it. Because
Yeah.
if you think about the people in the world, you could say maybe 85% of people are followers, and maybe 10% of people are like real creatives and leaders, and then 5% of people maybe are just like observers, and they really see what's going on. They're the people that get prosecuted and locked away, and they know what's really happening. But as a creative person, what you're doing is sharing ideas. And if you look back in history, in every civilization there's been, scriptures have been burned and have been thrown away, and artifacts have been destroyed. And um, you know
Mm.
it's not the art itself, it's the idea that is causing conflict. And um, so yeah, as creatives, you also have a responsibility to lead people,
Mm.
and not mislead them. That's the thing. So to lead people to substance rather than to just like, you know, the shallow end of the pool. I think that's a nice responsibility to take on, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we could speak all day, I think, and I'd be happy to. um, but we don't have unlimited time, at least that we've committed to be here together. And I also want to honor everyone's time, although I'm sure there are many people here who would like to stay and just be here in this Sangha. It's so lovely to see. I'm looking at Sonia right now, and there's a few others. I know Magdalena has not been so much here before, and a few faces that haven't been on for a while. So it's really lovely to see you all here. Um, Before we go into another song, which Kaylee and I might join in a little bit or try to. Um, Sorry, I got a little distracted, but when I have the chat open, I see people's messages coming and I get distracted. I wanted to share a few announcements. Some of them are quite big. Um, the first one is, firstly, on behalf of Kaylee, I wanted to just share a bit about what he's doing so you can connect with him after this session. Kaylee's also on Patreon. Kaylee's got a Patreon page and a little community growing. And so do check out his Patreon page and consider supporting him. It's like I've told you all many times, it really, really makes a huge difference, not just because it's a monetary thing, and mostly not actually. I mean, don't get me wrong. Money and what it essentially is energy, supportive energy. It is hugely impactful, but the feeling also and the knowledge that you are supported by a group of people who want you to keep doing what you're doing is priceless. It really is. And so even if you're just giving a small amount, that energy is felt very powerfully. Thank you. Nana put his the link in the chat. And like I said before, Kaylee also teaches various musical instruments, including harmonium and piano, guitar, songwriting. The list goes on. So you can chat to him about that later. And he's also going to be starting a creative Sanga, creative community for artists, musicians, designers, people who are connected with creativity in a variety of ways. So if that is something that sounds interesting to you, then do connect with him as well after, and you can let us know how you prefer to be contacted, Kaylee. We'll share the details with everyone, because Sangha is powerful. What we're doing here today is Sangha, and to take advantage of like-minded community, whether it be small or large, can make a huge difference to our life. So the second thing I wanted to announce before we go into the song, and Naina's been a big part of this, is that I mentioned that I'm going to be doing a tour in the US. And we're finally, with Naina's extreme amount of hard work, and also my manager, Sandipan, who's not here, but is very much doing a lot behind the scenes, we're finally almost ready to announce the tour. The reason we can't announce it yet is because with some of the venues, we're still just confirming the dates and everything like that. But we've actually just put down the deposit for the New York date. So we have dates, we have cities. So if you are in the US, give me a wave if you're able to come to something. So I'll let you know. We have got right now. I don't want to jinx it, but I'll tell you the cities. And for New York, we actually have the date as well, which is 21st of October. Sydney, we are coming to Texas. We're going to come to Dallas. So New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Dallas, and LA. 5 cities. That's where we can come this time. There's so many other places that we wish we could come to, but we're taking a calculated risk to come out on a tour. It's certainly a little bit expensive in terms of an endeavor, because obviously we've got to get the musicians, the venues themselves are pricey, and so many things are going up in cost across the board at the moment. But we really wanted to do this as an offering after what's been a very, very intense time around the world. And we're really hoping that people will be able to come out and have an experience of many hundreds of voices joining together in song and kirtan. And I'm hoping, we've got fingers crossed, that Keli also will be with us as part of the team. And so maybe if you come along to one of the dates, you'll be able to meet Keli in person as well. Someone's asking about the LA and Dallas dates. Naina, what do you think? Should we share the tentative dates?
Yeah, we can. So this is not confirmed, just for you all, but most likely the Dallas date would be, I believe, October 30th or around there. And then the LA date would be around the first week of November, so potentially November 3rd.
November 3rd or maybe
or
November
around
1st. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then Atlanta, we don't have a date fixed
Atlanta yet. Would potentially be the 26th of October. But again, all of these are to be confirmed, hopefully within the next week or two.
So Badr, I cannot leave the US yet to come to Canada. That's why we're doing a US tour. I still can't leave the US. Not to say that I don't like it here, but I do miss home, and I'd love to go back to England eventually. I'm waiting for my green card. And so when I finally can go back to England, we'll have a big party and have a big something. And other places in Europe and so on. But for now, we are doing everything in the US. And yes, Hemalata, maybe one day South America, that would be amazing. So that is the US tour. I have to say, the other day, I haven't even shared this with Naina, but I'm being vulnerable to this group. The other day, we were about to make the deposit to the New York venue. And I received a message like first thing when I woke up, which is why I definitely shouldn't be looking at my phone first thing in the morning, because it kind of almost gave me a heart, jolt, saying, "Are you sure? Are you 100% committed? We're about to put the deposit down." And for at least 4 hours, I had to psych myself back up onto the ledge, because I felt so scared. I felt so uncertain. And I had to call my mom and dad. I had to call another musician friend who I really, really look up to, who gave me like a really effective pep talk. And that gave me a lot of courage. But to be honest, I am quite frightened about doing this. So I am grateful for all of your encouragement and love, because the venues are quite big. So we don't know what's going to happen. But certainly, if you are coming along to something, what we're going to present is going to be something that hopefully anyone could relate to and appreciate, who may not have experienced kirtan before, who may not have experienced mantra or something of this nature. So do consider bringing along family and friends if you are planning to come. Sydney, the Dallas venue, we're still trying to confirm. So once I have more information, I'll certainly be sharing it with you right away. You're the first to know, actually. So I haven't really put anything online yet. And in the next few days, we will announce the New York date, so that we can start to encourage people. And if you're not in the US, why not have a holiday and come here? The doors are open now, so you can come and see the sights, come and have a holiday. So I'm noticing the time. I don't want to go too much over time, but let's do another song together. And any other questions or things like that, we can do at the end, or we can continue online on the chat. So this is I'll let Kaylee say a bit more about it, but this is a song that we actually, well, we collaborated on. I just contributed a little tiny piece of it, but we did it during, it was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Last year?
yeah, last year.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's so I was talking about those 7 months where I so much came from my mind and through my pen and into the guitar somehow. And I had the opportunity to record a short EP that I called Falling Upwards. And it was the idea of the EP was to take people through a musical journey of what it feels like um, to fall upwards to Krishna. And this is kind of like the culmination of that set of songs. When we get past the inquisitiveness, when we get past the initial enthusiasm, when we get past the struggle, and then we just kind of surrender, and we ask and we pray with love and with devotion, like, Lord, I really want to connect with you. I know I'm not perfect. I know I've been untrue. I know that I'm not consistent, and all of these things that perhaps would disqualify anyone from a relationship. But I know that you are all loving, you are all knowing, and please give me an opportunity to connect with you in some way. So that's what this song's about. It's called Teach Me How. And we'll see how it works in collaboration. It's a mixture of English and of mantra, so if you're muted, please feel free to sing along to the mantra section and give your heart if you feel inspired.
Oh, also Kaylee sang this at my wedding.
Yeah, that was an interesting experience.
And that was the first time we met as well, in person, that is.
Yeah, that was I'm extremely grateful to you, Jahnavi, for that, but I also feel like telling you off a little bit, because that was probably the most nervous I've ever been in my whole life. But, it was a wonderful experience. I just arrived in New York pretty much, and Jahnavi messaged me the day before, hey, I'm having this wedding, as you know, and I was wondering if you can like finish the whole ceremony. So I was like, okay, great, I'll try and borrow a guitar. So I walked downstairs. All of the friends I was with left before me because they were in a rush, and I was like left late, and I walked around the corner into Matchless Gifts. First time I'd ever been in Matchless Gifts, which is where the Krishna consciousness movement first started. And I walked in, and I stood at the back, and there was an incredible array of personalities, and I was stood behind Jay Shetty himself, and I was looking out, and everywhere I looked there was either a celebrity, a senior spiritual personality, an incredible musician or friend. And so it was a really wonderful ceremony, and it was such a pleasure to close the ceremony with this song.
It was amazing.
And meet you. That was a great time. Let me learn to love you. Make me feel complete. Though I've been so untrue, place me at your feet. Let me learn to see you there in everything. Your arms I fly into with a broken wing. Teach me how to love. Teach me how to give. Take me high above. Show me how to live. Teach me how to love. Teach me how to give. Take me high above. Show me how to live. Let me learn to love you. Make me feel complete. Though I've been so untrue, place me at your feet. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yay.
Yay! That might be one of my favorite songs of all time.
Ah, mine too.
Thank you so much, Kaylee. That truly is, and that is inspired and so beautiful. And I was also giving a round of applause. Other people wouldn't have realized, but to your mom and dad who are here.
Yeah, my parents are here. They
They're
birthed
waving.
me. They
Yes,
birthed me. They raised
Helen,
me. They're
Helen
wonderful
and
people.
Colin. They're wonderful, and you've raised a beautiful soul. And thank you so much for giving that gift to the world. I
It
hope.
was a bit naughty of me to share the link, but
Oh no, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, it's my mom is always you might have a similar experience to my mom because both my parents actually, they always call me now and they say, oh, everywhere we go people say, oh, you're Genevieve Harrison's mom or you're Genevieve Harrison's dad. It's like for a long time you're the most prominent person in the family as a parent, and then your children start doing something out in the world, and But truly, that's the fruit of a lot of sacrifice and love that is given by parents. So we really thank you as well, because he's the apple from the tree of you. So thank you so much, Keli, for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it's wonderful to see all of you and to meet all of you, and I really hope we can stay connected in some form or another, whether it's just virtually or hopefully I will see you in person at some time. But
we've got a lot of countries represented here. We've got India and Argentina, Colombia, Canada, Switzerland, Germany. So it's a real
Wales.
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 Wales. Yeah, it's a real global Sanga, but so grateful. We have a dream that one day we will do something where we can actually be together in person. Oh, speaking of which, before we go, just as a reminder, the retreat in Puerto Rico in December, 3rd to the 10th of December, it's about half full so far. So if any of you are interested, please do connect with me, or you can contact through, it's sort of co-hosted by the Bhakti Center, so you can contact directly through their website. We would really love to have you. I don't know if Anka's still here, but she was with us last year. She's coming again. It might not be that one, it might be something else. And I know that sometimes costs of things, if you're not in the sort of nearby area, can be prohibitive. So that's why I'm really praying that the green cards things get resolved quickly, so that I can come over also back to Europe and England and do something over there, because yeah, I know it's difficult to come over this way. But I'm really hoping to see some of you in person soon, one way or another. And until next time, sorry we didn't have so much time for questions and things like that, but I'll make a post and you can add stuff in, or of course always send me a direct message. And Keli, is there a contact we should share for you right now, or we can do it later as well?
Yeah, so you can contact me on Instagram is good. You can send me a little message on there.
That's Keli_Woods, right?
That's correct, yeah. Or I will also give you this, which is my email address. And yeah, so as Janavi mentioned, there are a few offerings that I'm trying to establish. The teaching thing's been wonderful, and I actually just tallied up how many people I've done lessons with in the last 2 years, and it was over 30 people, which I would just thought was insane. So yeah, the option is there for that. And also, as Janavi mentioned, I really want to launch some kind of creative collective soon, and try and bring people together in a nice Sangha like that. So if you're interested in that, or even in just hearing some more music and staying connected, or just being a friend, I love having a friend. You can contact me on email or Instagram. So
also, please check out Keli's EP that he released called Falling Upwards. That's on all digital music platforms, and he also has a couple singles as well. It's all great, and more to come.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll continue to move onwards and upwards in strength, courage, and wisdom together. We definitely receiving some of that today. So thank you all so much. I'm wishing you a wonderful rest of the day and rest of the week ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Bye bye. Bye, Vaishnavi, Susan, Sonia. Take care, Paula. Good to see you, Sydney. Bye bye. Thank you, Susan. Sending you lots of love.